So today we're going to be butchering our Cornish cross game hens. So they're about 10 weeks old today. They're at the weight that we want. So we're going to go ahead and set all of our butchering stuff up, and we're going to go ahead and try to wipe them all out. So as far as equipment goes, we have our chicken plucker over here that we'll be setting up. Chicken plucker is kind of a game changer. It's kind of a must-have. It's just so time consuming if you don't have something like a chicken plucker, whether you can borrow one, you can rent one, make one, or buy one if you're going to be doing this a lot, if it makes sense. But it's so time consuming to hand pluck a chicken. And when you have a chicken plucker, you can do it so much faster, so it's so much easier. And I think, in my honest opinion, it's worth it, and that's why I chose to buy one, even if I'm not going to be doing this in like a commercial scale or something like that. Another thing is you need some kind of like a tub or something to be holding all of your clean carcasses. Once you're done butchering, you're going to want to put the clean carcasses in some kind of clean container. So I butcher my own deer, and I butcher, you know, all my own meat, and so I have some meat tubs basically, but you can use basically anything that'll hold, that is clean, it's food grade, and that will hold some ice and some water and your clean chicken carcasses. Something that's food safe and that you can sterilize. Another thing that works in conjunction with the chicken plucker is going to be some kind of like turkey fryer. So I just basically have kind of like, well, essentially it is just a propane stove, an outdoor propane cooking stove that you would like make turkey or boil turkey with or whatever. So I just have a large stainless steel pot. I'm going to put the stainless steel pot on this cooker, hook it up to a propane tank, and I'll have an open flame. You're going to want a thermometer as well, because it is important. You don't ever want to get above 150 degrees, about 150, 155, because once it gets above that temperature, you're basically going to be cooking the skin on the chicken, which you don't want to do, because when you put it in the chicken plucker, you'll be tearing that skin up, and you're going to have a lot of problems. You don't want the bird to cook yet, so you want to keep it, I like to keep mine about 145 to 150, just make sure you're well below, you know, those temperatures. You don't want to get above 155. So the other thing that you're going to want is you're going to want some means to dispatch the chicken. So for me, that means a stump and a hatchet. It's worked well. I don't have a what do you call a killing cone? You can get a killing cone, are fairly cheap. So a killing cone essentially is what you put the chicken in. Its head's going to come out the bottom, and you can you know, slice its neck and let it bleed out. It's pretty humane. It's really quick. And then that chicken cone kind of like holds this chicken, so it's not flopping around all over the place. What you don't want is you don't want to kill your chicken and then like let it flop all over the place, because even after they're dead, they have so much, you know, nerves and such that they'll be moving around, and they'll be flopping, and they'll be flapping their wings. You know, even without a head, they're going to be doing this. You know, they're obviously dead. It just takes a little while for the nerves and everything and the functions and stuff to stop, and for, you know, all the blood to come out, and for the chicken to be at rest. So what I do, since I don't have a killing cone, is I'll just basically cradle the chicken onto the log. You know, I'll dispatch it. I'll take it's just one clean, quick slice through the head, and it's done. It's dead. And then I'll hold on to it, and I'll let it do its thing, bleed out, and that way it's, what you don't want it to do is flop around, because you will get the meat bruised, and you don't want to have bruised meat. So that's basically the essence of why you need a killing cone, and they're handy. I'd like to get one at some point. I just don't have one right now, and the stumps worked for many years, so I'm going to be doing that and just kind of cradling. It just takes a little bit more time, but we only have around 40 birds to do. And so it shouldn't take a whole long time. This isn't like a commercial, you know, meat processing facility. This is just for our use and our farm, our family. And then finally, you're gonna want some type of like a bag to store it in the freezer with. You know, when you have a year's supply of chickens, it's gonna take a little while for us to get through them. And so we don't want any freezer burn or anything like that. So we went ahead and bought bags that are actually made for this. We can basically, it comes with a straw type deal, and we'll let all the air out. The air will come out. We'll dip them into some hot water, and that bag will close around that carcass. It will get and release all the air out of it, and then we can cinch that bag down tight, and so it's got most of the air out of it. So it'll store for a lot longer. It'll go the whole year, and it won't get freezer burnt. So as far as equipment, that's all that we have today. That should be for your really basic setup. That's probably all that you really need. So when I do this, I'm gonna be doing this by myself, so I'm not gonna be doing a lot of talking throughout the film, so I can kind of narrate it like later on. But as far as like talking you through and walking you through, it's just gonna be kind of a pain. I'm gonna have, my hands will be dirty, and so I'm not gonna be doing a lot of talking and instructing through the whole thing. So, but I'll have the film, have the footage, and I'll narrate over it. So hopefully that, guys, will help you through like a step-by-step process. If you're doing this, you're trying to make your own food. You know, food prices are going up for us, as well as feed prices for chickens. So it's getting more expensive to raise chickens. So I feel like, but I do feel like a lot more people are going to be turning it this way, because, you know, we might just get to the point where we're having food shortages. So we might just not even be able to get chicken, and unless we raise it ourselves. And so I have no idea what's going to go on in the future. I'm not like a doomsday person or whatever, but things are looking worse and worse. Every year there's some new crap that comes out, and there's some reason why they gotta jack up all the prices for not only gas, but for feed and for meat and for everything, and there's just really no rhyme or reason. It's not like we're getting the same as the inflation prices are in our pay. It's not reflected. You know, people are gonna have to start working harder and using their skills and their labor to kind of get by. For me, I eat a lot of chicken. My family eats a little bit of chicken. I like to lift weights. I like to eat chicken and, you know, do all that, chicken and rice. I want to make sure I have chicken, so this is the way that I did it. I raised my own, and I'm gonna put a year's supply, or roughly a year's supply, into the freezer, and it'll be there for me whenever I need it. So I don't have to worry about going to the store and how much it's gonna be, you know, if I can afford it or whatever, or if it's even gonna be there. So anyway, guys, so I'm gonna get started on this butchering. So hopefully you guys can gain something from this. Think back to everything. Before we get started, I just wanted to show you guys our whole setup. Okay, so as you can see behind me, that half dome looking thing, the chicken tractor, that's where the chickens are as of now. They've been in that chicken tractor. It's made from trampoline. If you want to see that video, you can check that out. I'll put a link in the description. Basically it moves around in our own pasture. Here, the next step, we have our scalding tub. It's basically propane turkey fryer hooked up with a pot, and it's ready to we're going to get that to about 150 degrees, or a little bit less than 150 degrees. We're going to scald them in that. Next is going to be our chicken plucker. Our chicken plucker has a hose that is actually connected into it. It'll be sending water throughout. We're going to throw the chicken into that. It's going to spin around. It's going to take all the feathers off. And from that, we're going to put it on the processing table, which is where we're going to be cutting it, degutting it, and basically putting it in our bags and chilled, almost frozen, before we put them in the freezer. Because if you put a bunch of warm body temperature birds inside of the freezer together, that many birds will actually drop the temperature of your freezer. So that is our setup, guys, and we'll get started very shortly.
Anything.
We're gonna clean this trash can out with soap and water. We're gonna throw some ice in it and some cold water, and that's where we're gonna kind of chill everything before we actually put it in the freezer. Throughout this entire video, you'll probably hear our roosters crowing, chickens clucking, ducks quacking, kids yelling and screaming at each other. And this is our farm. This is our life. So we're not in a studio. It's real life. So just to give you a heads up, that's kind of the stuff you probably have to expect. Oh, look at them all. They're ready. Trust me, guys, we're ready for you to here to take care of in the freezer.
Come into my hands.
I'm gonna be so relieved not to have to feed and water these things twice a day and move the chicken tractor and all that. A little bit of resistance.
You ready?
I'm ready.
She's got some weight to her.
Yeah, I think they gained a lot of weight in that last week.
She's at least maybe 8 pounds.
So what's going to happen now is pretty obvious. So if you have a killing cone, you'll put their head in there and you'll slice the neck, and then you'll wait for them to die. In our case, the old stump and hatchet is going to happen. I don't feel any need to show that on this channel. You get the idea. So that's what's going to happen. Now I'll hold it down. like I said before, I don't want it bouncing around. I don't want it to get bruised. And it's gonna be quick, it's gonna be humane, and that's what's gonna happen. About 140, 145. So we're gonna dunk these in for about 30 to 45 seconds. All right, so when you pull them off, if you can scrape the skin away like so, you know they're ready to go, and the feathers are starting to come out easy. So the next thing, we're gonna throw it in the chicken plucker. So this is our finished bird. As you can see, there's a few little feathers and stuff that we can pick off when we're doing our final dressing, but as you can see, it did a pretty good job of cleaning most of the feathers off and doing most of the work for us. So everything looks pretty good. So the next step is to get the feet off, to degut it, take the crop out, and then we'll be ready to bag and put them on ice. Now water temperature is really key. So the first bird that we did, I think the water temperature was a little bit low. It didn't come off like we really wanted it to. But I think we've got it pinned down now to about right just under 150 degrees. And so about 30 to 45 seconds in the hot water, and then about 30 to 45 seconds, maybe even a little less, in the chicken plucker, and it comes out real clean. And we got birds that come out with only just a little bit, a few feathers that we gotta mess around with when we're doing the final dressing. Waiting patiently in line. They really are dumb animals. Okay, so you just want to find that joint and then cut that. You can come in from the back side, and that separates pretty easy if you slice in the right spot. The next thing you want to do is you want to come up here. Now these haven't ate for about 24 hours, so their crop's fairly empty, but you'll want to find their crop. It's like right between the breast. And now what I'll do is I'll take that, once I find it, and I'll just pull it as well as the esophagus out. Cut across here to get access to the intestines here. Take your fingers and pull that everything through. Being careful for this part right here, this blue thing, this dark blue or purple is the gallbladder. You don't want to break that open and get that all over the meat. Once you've got everything out and it's just hanging by that, you're going to cut down on each side of the vent, and this little notch that comes out, that tail, you're going to go down and make a V and meet in the middle. Try to leave the intestines on there, all connected. Cut that off as one whole unit, and if you're going to, you can save your gizzard and your liver here. Be careful again of the gallbladder, and then you can also save your heart. And so now you have your whole bird that's ready to be packaged. So while I've been out there finishing up the butchering, my wife's been here, she's basically putting these in freezer bags. If you don't have freezer bags, of course you can put them in like Ziploc bags, but we like these. They condense everything down, they save space. So she's in here throwing it in, and the process is pretty easy. So she's going to walk you through that real easy, or I'm going to record her doing it. It's just going to take just a few seconds. It's not that hard, the directions are in there, but just for you guys to see it done.
I'm not talking.
Quid pro quo you actually are right now. Leave that in there for 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Then you pull it out, let it sit for 10 seconds.
There she is.